Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So it's a great pleasure to be here, and I thank Meet Magento and the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present. So I'm Pradeep, I'm from Chennai, and I work with Bond Group. I'm in the tech pre-sales part of Bond Group. And before this, I've been working with a lot of open source technologies such as Sugar CRM, Drupal, Dollybar, ERP, and all of that. So I primarily come from a PHP and open source perspective, and therefore I just wanted to give my dig at how we can use Magento from a low code perspective, right? So Magento is typically seen as a heavyweight development platform, whereas we could also have a different viewpoint for Magento, where we could position Magento as a low code alternative, like how Shopify or eCommerce could position themselves, right? So that is the whole point of having this presentation. So let's explore some low-code possibilities with Magento, while still keeping Magento as the heavyweight development platform that it is. So we're not saying that we should not customize Magento heavily, we should not extend Magento heavily. That's not what I'm getting at. But we should also have a low-code approach, a low-code look at Magento from the outside angle, because business users, merchants who are not tech-enabled, right? So they would really question having a development team, having testing life cycles to launch on Magento, right? So therefore, that is what we are getting at. So according to Gartner research, in like 2 or 3 years, we are going to see whatever new software applications, it may be processes or softwares or e-commerce or anything ERP. So all of this is going to be heavily low code or no code, right? So this is as per the Gartner research. So one of the key things that Magento has to do is to keep track with where the industry is going, right? So if the industry is going towards low code, if the industry is going towards no code, then you need to align with that. So that is also kind of important. So here's the Gartner magic quadrant for the enterprise low code platforms, right? So right there you would see Salesforce. So Salesforce again has a Commerce Cloud product. So in Commerce Cloud it has B2C, B2B. And B2B is a heavyweight built on the Salesforce Lightning platform. Salesforce Lightning platform is actually kind of a low code or a no code approach. Similarly, you would see there Zoho. So Zoho is coming up with their own low code platform. And you also have Microsoft Power Apps, right? So Microsoft Power Apps is also marketed as a low code or a no code platform. So here you need to question Magento somewhere, right? So it's not like Magento is not competing with these products. So any client who wants to re-platform from Salesforce Commerce Cloud, they do want to come back to Magento. People who want to move from, let's say, any of the other e-commerce platforms, Magento is still a good shot for them. But we still need to be able to position it as a low-code platform. So what are the key aspects? What are the key aspects of low-code platforms, right? So you can look at 3 different things. One is out-of-the-box features. So what are out-of-the-box features? They are already available on the platform. So once I install Magento, once I install Magento on my server, all of those features will be automatically available. So that is what is meant by the out-of-the-box features. Then we talk about drag and drop interfaces, right? So what is a drag and drop interface? So any business user, they could come from a merchant, they could come from technology, but anybody who has a techno-functional approach or is from the business side, so they should be able to set up the system, they should be able to make changes to the system after the system launches, right? So this is what is called the drag and drop approach to software. So it's not like you just build it, it's like you maintain it and then you want to change it later, you want to change the process, you want to change something that you're doing, you should not go back to the development team. You should not have a development and a testing recycle, right? So that is the whole point of the drag and drop interface. Then you have visual modeling tools. What are visual modeling tools? It's a step ahead of the drag and drop. It's primarily when you are able to kind of have an entire workflow designed, right? Let's say order management. So you have a whole order management workflow. Let's say customer support. You have a whole customer support workflow. So any of the workflows that you have set up today may change in the future based on the business learnings and all of that, right? So when you have that constant feedback from the system on how you are performing, whether your customer support is good, AI, you know what, I want to change this process, I want to change how you return products, I want to change how you do the BOPIS, buy online purchase in store. So all of this could be built with development, but if you have something like a visual modeling tool to do it, the whole advantage is you can change it tomorrow based on feedback from the business without going again to the vendor for or your development team for changes, right? So here the way the world is moving towards automation is that they want to remove the development life cycles. They want to concentrate more on getting stuff done with the visual modeling tools. So by the way, Magento is already low code ready, right? So it's not like I'm bringing in a new concept. So I wanted to cover those aspects as well. So how is Magento already low code ready, and how can we actually make it better? So let's look at some of the Magento's low code features. So out of the box features, so this I think everybody knows, right? Once you set up a Magento store, you already have let's say starting from the home page, you have product listing, you have catalogs, you have pricing, you can set up segmentation, you can segmentation is another commerce feature. You can set up customer groups, you can do a shopping cart, you have a guest checkout, your wish list, you can do the checkout, then on the back end you have the OMS, the miniature OMS where you can handle the fulfillment, right? So all of this is already part of the platform. The whole point being, once you set up Magento open source, you already have all of this. So in terms of out of the box features, Magento is already there in terms of making it like a low code platform. If you talk about drag and drop interfaces, you have page builder. So page builder is the CMS component on Magento where you can create landing pages, right? So any business user who, let's say the merchant wants to run a promotion this week, right? So they can this weekend, right? So they don't need to go to the development team and ask them, can you build a page for me? So they can create the banners with their graphical unit, creative team, and then they just go on Magento, open page builder, drag and drop, create all of those pages and publish it, right? So it is already there. The drag and drop interface for page builder is already there, and the whole point is this needs to be marketed as a low code. Whereas if you look at Shopify or anything, they are heavily marketing it as low code. Whereas in terms of Magento, we do not actually do that. So here we are just unboxing what's already there in the box, and we need to present it in that way. If you look at virtual merchandiser, this is a Adobe Commerce feature exclusive to Adobe Commerce. So here again, you can with a drag and drop interface, you can set up your catalog, and when you set up your catalog, you choose your products. You can drag and drop and reorder these products according to your preference. So when you click on the catalog electronics, you can decide which phone you want to upsell on your store, which phone you want to, which products you do not want to. Sorry for using the term upsell. Basically, which order of the products that you want to bring up, right? So that you can decide with virtual merchandiser. So this is part of the Adobe Commerce or the Adobe Enterprise. So this is again like a drag and drop. Then you have visual modeling tools. You can look at the catalog and cart price rules, right, which is Magento promotions. So when you set up promotions on your store, you can set them up with these modules. You just go to the backend, you can find this cart level price rules or catalog price rules. So here you can, for example, this is a common use case where you buy 3 t-shirts and you get 1 free, right? So here you can just, in this interface, without doing any coding, you can kind of set up the entire promotion. So this is an example for the visual modeling. But here it's not very visual when you look at it. So if you take Microsoft Power Apps, for example, or Salesforce Lightning Platform, they will have the same feature, but they will market it in a better way. So they will have a user interface for building, they have the better user interface for building the same thing. So here we have the feature, but the interface is kind of okay. It looks more development-ish rather than business-ish, right? That's what I'm trying to make out. The gentleman before me was talking a lot about product recommendations, right? So that is another classical example for the visual model. So here Adobe, and this is an Adobe Commerce feature. So here you rely on Adobe Sensei to give you the AI, but on the back end, it's still like a visual modeling tool where you provide your inputs. you choose like on which pages you want the recommendation to show up, what type of recommendations, and then based on that, the AI engine throws you the recommendations. So this is again like a classic example. And recently Adobe eCommerce in the upcoming release, they are going more towards the Adobe I/O serverless. So in this approach, what they are actually doing is, let's say I want to make some customization on Adobe. So I rely on the Adobe Marketplace, right? So I rely on the Magento Marketplace. So I need to go and find an extension. I need to install that extension, enable it, make some customizations, and then I run. The same thing is going to be going outside Adobe eCommerce in the future. So Adobe comes up with this approach called Adobe I/O. So what is Adobe I/O? Adobe I/O sets up, allows you to set up custom code similar to an extension, but you set it up outside Magento. So you do not install it on your Magento. You set up on Adobe I/O, you set up your code, and then you ask Magento to call that code. So here you are passing the control outside Magento into Adobe servers, and this is the latest upcoming trend that Adobe is coming up with, right? So here it's again like an approach for a low code, because you are moving the code away from the platform, right? So here you do not touch the platform, you are touching the code outside the platform. So let's look at some project ideas, case studies for Adobe Commerce. If we talk about Magento low code, right? So if you take Magento open source, for example, so let's take a look at some case studies. So here I will try to bring from other industries or from other platforms, right, what is already available, and which could be like a nice thing to have on Magento open source. So here drag and drop installation. So one of the key problems with Magento is how do I set it up, right? So I need a development team, I need people who will be there to deploy the software on a server and ensure that it is secure and all of that, right? So can this be challenged, right? So if you go for a GoDaddy or any of these Namecheap or any vendors, any hosting providers, so you may find cPanel, and on cPanel you have something called SoftAquilus, right? So I'm just referring to that use case here. It's up to us to build it, right? So SoftAquilus will allow you to deploy Magento in one click, right? All you need to do is provide what admin URL you want, what username, password you want, all of that, and you don't touch any code, right? You just hit that button, it's done, it's installed. But the caveats with this approach is security. So who will ensure that? So you're dealing with card information, you need PCI, all of that. So from that angle, how do you deal with it? So that has to be dealt with. But otherwise, it is quite possible to do this, right? So today it is available as a paid thing. If you go through cPanel, cPanel will have SoftAquilus, and Magento is one of the options with the other 1,000 softwares that it provides. So I'm just building on top of the same idea. So one of the key problems I can see with Magento open source is the theme, right? So why is it that Luma theme, it's so fixed, right? So I always see the search bar there, right? I need to change the code in order to change my layout. So this is like we are like trying to make a hard layer there, right? And now we are telling that I need a development team to change that. But whereas if you take a look at WordPress, for example, this is the SoftAquilus WordPress installer. I have just taken a screenshot from it. So when you install, first you set up your details like how I showed in the previous screen. In the next screen, you pick the theme. So you don't even in Magento, let's not even talk about theme. We can even have different layouts. Right? So when you're selling music, when you're selling CDs, when you're selling T-shirts, when you're selling toys, right? So you want the entire user interface to change, right? It cannot be the same. I'm not just talking about the colors, look and feel. I'm talking about the layout. So here is an idea where we could have this, where Luma theme could have different layouts, right? So we could push that into Luma itself, and then allow the user to kind of choose it instead of relying on the development team to change that. So that is what I'm trying to bring up here. So here's the idea. The first idea, like have a wizard-like installation for Magento without having a development team involved, where you also figure out the security by having a script. You can write a script that you have to run, and it just runs, checks the file permissions and everything, and says, yeah, you're 100% fine, right? So here we don't want to involve a developer. And then again, you can have like a choose your theme, pick your theme, choose your layout, pick your layout, all of that stuff. Coming to workflows, right? So workflows is already available in Magento. It is just that it is not it's not like sold by marketing, right? So Magento has these cart price rules, catalog rules. So there is a workflow engine working underneath this, which is already out there. So this workflow engine is really powerful. You can understand if you try to configure a cart rule or a catalog price rule, you will understand the power of the workflow engine. So the workflow engine already being there, we could build on top some front ends, right? So I will show some examples on what we can build, primarily from customer support and OMS angles. So if you look at customer support, so I am showing a screenshot from Salesforce, right? So this is Salesforce flow orchestrator, and it is coming from the Salesforce Lightning platform. So right now Salesforce B2C is outside the Lightning platform, whereas Salesforce B2B is built on top of the Lightning platform. So this has this feature where you can go and create your workflow. So if you want customer support, if you want to have that as part of your e-commerce, obviously any e-commerce shop will need customer support. How do you handle, once you've sold your products, how do you handle returns? How do you handle, I want a different color, I want a return, can you give me a better deal? How do you handle all of that? So you obviously need customer support, but it's not tightly integrated with the platform. So even if you integrate it with the platform, you will need all of this, right? You need to auto-classify when you get a customer support ticket, you need to classify it, you need to have a team working behind who will do that classification. You need to have SLAs, so you can say a new ticket can be responded within 8 hours, but you need to enforce that. So all of this can be built into the platform. So Salesforce flow architecture will allow us to do this. So the idea is like, can we already have the workflow engine in Magento, so why not have a module tightly coupled with the monolith platform itself, which will do all of this. But you need this UI to be built on top of the workflow module. This is the missing piece. But otherwise, from a tech perspective, everything else is already there in the platform. Coming to OMS workflows, so again, I am showing a screenshot from Fluent Order Management Experience. So Fluent Commerce has this tool. So in Magento, you already have the order statuses, right? So you already have all of those order statuses. But how do you flip the status? So let's say you are integrating 3PL. So the product is out for delivery. So you want to show that status here. How do you do all of that, right? So you have an entire order management workflow. But Magento is not capable of that. You need to kind of do custom development or have a marketplace extension which will give that feature for you. Whereas you could have this UI beautifully built in. Here you could actually create the entire workflows. So once the order is in a particular status, do X, Y, Z, and when Z happens, change the status. So if someone can visually model and create it here, like how they do it in Fluent Order Management experience, right, then you could complete at order management level as well. So today when we say order management, we say Magento is not very capable. So we need to find out which other tool you want to go with, what other OMS you want to go with. So we could also build this better inside the platform itself. This is Microsoft Power Automate. So again, this is Microsoft Power Apps. So again, they market as a low-code or a no-code platform, and it's all like workflows. If you see, these workflows may also be built with Magento Workflow Engine, but just that we don't have the UI and we don't want to market it that way. This is the Zoho Creator. It's a video, if you can play. So this is just like how to do the low-code, just a vision that they already have. Okay, so here I guess like it's just a snapshot of what they already have, right? But it's a beautiful UI where you can drag and drop, even create code, create processes, create workflows, half of which is already there in Magento. We just don't have the UI. So if we build the UI, then we could market Magento open source. As you know what, you can You come here, you build and you drag and drop, build your applications, you're done. You don't need development team, right? So just another approach, right? If people want to, if say Shopify wants to advertise itself as a low-code platform, say that why do you want to go to Magento? You need a team. Here you can just purchase an account, you're done, you set up, right? So why don't we just do that? That's good. This is okay. Here's the video. So here's your drag and drop. You drag drop. You pick from options. It can create code. It can create processes. It can create workflows. So email templates are already there in Magento. It's just that everything is not integrated, right? So the platform has the features, but it's not like there is no UI to give you those features to a business user. And the last thing is Magento integrations. Obviously, so what I am presenting here is not the entire solution, right? So if you want a heavily customized integration with ERP, if you want an integration with your existing CRM, obviously you need to write code. So we are not challenging that part here. So that remains as it is. You can extend. But here, if you're looking at the process before that, just hey, to just set up my Magento, it takes so much effort. So that is what is being challenged, not the extensibility of the platform. So even if you do this, the platform remains as it is, and it can be customized like how you do it today. So why we need this low-code approaches? So one being business friendly, so business people can use Magento, even from the setup and development, right? So you could sell this to them. Better adoption. So like when Red Hat launched their Linux, right? So the important point was like till then Linux was just commands, right? So if you're not a techie, you're not in Linux, but it doesn't have to be that way. So once Red Hat had this Windows interface, then so many people jumped in and used Linux. So why keep pushing Magento as a developer platform when it could also, be business friendly? So platform adoption is something that we designed as the open source community. How we want to push in this platform. So people should also push in this platform as it's easy to have, it's easy to do. Why don't you try, right? So this whole perception in the market will change. And futuristic, so as I told you about Gartner research, so what's happening is going to happen, so we just have to fix up. So the key takeaways from this presentation, so how to do an installation wizard, how to have your own theme, layout, configuration, everything bundled into the installer, so that people can install Magento in a single click. How to do customer support with workflows is already there in Magento, why don't you use that? To build a UI for customer support. How about OMS state management, how do you handle it? You could also do it with workflows, which is again part of the Magento itself. And user interface for the low-code development, as I showed in Zoho, so you could have like a user interface bringing everything together, starting from Magento's email, templates, Magento's way of doing customer segmentation, so everything is there, but it's like, you need to learn a lot before you are ready. Whereas the way Zoho pushes is like, you just learn it in 5 minutes, you're ready. So that sort of an approach has to be brought in, and that's what we do. And finally we have Adobe I/O. So as we go in the new release of Adobe eCommerce, it's all going to be about I/O, app builder, and all of that workflows. So Adobe has also got the hint, and they are moving towards that, moving more towards the low-code approach. So that brings me to the end. Thanks a lot for listening in, and any questions, happy to answer.
This Adobe I/O is the same as Adobe App Builder, right? Recently, or is it different?
Yeah, true. So Adobe I/O is part of App Builder. So App Builder, workflows, everything comes together with Adobe I/O to give the experience. So yes, all part of the package.
Not the same.
Adobe App Builder is either for low-code.
Correct. So what Adobe App Builder is going to do is whatever you are doing with Magento extensions today, right? It's going to allow you to do it in an easier way. So for example, you could also change the Magento backend the way it is today with App Builder. right? So it's going to allow you to customize a lot of things without actually working with Magento from a development perspective.
So they already have vision.
Yeah, it's actually announced like in January.
Okay.
So actually it was just a coincidence. I had this ready like maybe a month ago, and then I attended the Adobe conference and all of this came and
Yes. I think the Fluent Commerce, Fluent Commerce has already been identified as a Adobe partner, I think so, as
Okay.
a OMS. So they are getting away with the Magento OMS and their current OMS. That will be phased out. The Fluent Commerce will be kind of official partner.
Okay.
So you, I think, already got that vision.
Yeah, it's more like, even if they do that, you still need to have Adobe Enterprise or Adobe Commerce to do that, right? If you want to enjoy the features of Adobe Commerce, you need to pay for the license and all of that. True. Whereas here, I'm more towards the open source side of it. So why don't you push open source into that one?
Okay, now you also talked about the currently popular lawyer things like that, or something like that. So do you think the Adobe I/O can be used to integrate Adobe Commerce or the Magento open source with Zoho Creator or some other local?
Yeah, I think at the architecture level, what Adobe is pushing for is how to go serverless, how to make the changes away from the platform, like how these SaaS, for example, Shopify, it allows you to add Amazon Lambda functions, right? So you can write Lambda functions, serverless code, and you can ask your commerce engine to call that code. So Adobe is trying to do something from that line where it wants to compete with these people, right? So they want to have a serverless platform, they want to have workflows, and from your commerce engine you could have changes in data or changes in which could trigger the workflow and call the code. So having the same platform, but based on the behavioral changes, you could invoke the code in Adobe I/O. So that is the approach there. So I guess like they might release front ends for this, but their talk track is more from the architecture side, where they are showing that okay, we have these API mesh, we have Adobe I/O, we are trying to move, right? So that's how it is.
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
I don't have much experience on Adobe Commerce, so just wanted to know how about when we use the Adobe Commerce in headless manner with the custom storefront, then how much of these low code options we can use there?
Okay, I guess like when you're going headless, you're only taking out the front end. So you're going with the PW Studio, or you're building your own React or Angular application, or your mobile app. But still the backend remains the same. So this entire thing remains the same. So whatever happens in the backend, whatever Adobe I/O, API mesh, whatever integrations are there, everything will be the same. So it will happen in the similar manner. When you go headless, you are just saying, you know what, I want my own front end. But still everything will be through Commerce API, and therefore everything will remain the same.
So the page builder and everything we can use it in the same way?
Page builder you can use, what will happen is page builder pages will be converted to React code when you use PWA Studio. There will be a conversion. But otherwise, if you are going for headless, you may as well go for a different CMS, a more powerful CMS like Drupal or EE, right? So here, when you do that, that will be a better option. Okay, I think.
Thank you.